Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Beach Lifestyle Show. I'm the host of the show, Neil Haley, and I'm my other host in Jamaica. I'm getting sick and tired of this. I can't wait till he comes back to the States. But he's powered by Google Voice tonight, and I hope maybe I need to get a couple bucks from Google Voice for saying that. I want to welcome to the program GJ Reynolds. GJ, thanks for calling.
Hey, I'm in Jamaica. And
GJ, I'm under the weather. It's the end of the year. And I thought today's topic for our first segment before our two awesome guests that will be coming on after that is something that I'm your protege, or I'm the apprentice. A huge fan of The Apprentice, but I am GJ Reynolds' apprentice, and I'm kind of in the 6 to 7 month phase of my business. But before, at this time of year, everyone knows we're almost finished with school. We got 2 weeks left, and then it's over. And I was used to a business where, hey, tutoring was one of my supplementary incomes. Now it's my primary income. And now I'm seeing, families are dropping off. We'll take off the summer. We'll be back in a couple of weeks and specific things. And I'm getting nervous, quite a little bit nervous, about what I'm going to do when I'm not so busy. I have been swamped, and I'm so blessed with all the business I've gotten and also doing some part-time publicity work. But I just wanted to have the topic today to ask you questions. How do we generate new leads, especially when we always like to work on things that are going to make us money now or tomorrow? But stuff that might not make us money, we don't know, but we have to go out and do this specifically when we are at a slow time, which I might be wrong completely, but again, it's part of knowing that your only paycheck's your business now. So, GJ, how do we do that?
Well, I would say there's several ways to do it, and obviously, I would recommend every entrepreneur to always be seeking new business, regardless of how busy you are and regardless of how good your business is. You always want to make sure you're always throwing the line into the into the ocean or the pond or the lake, into the water, whatever you want to call it, and searching for the next customer. Probably the easiest and one of the fastest ways to get new customers is word of mouth with people that you already know. And what I found a lot of times is going back to people who are customers or clients and asking them for referrals. A lot of times they're more than happy to give referrals, especially when you've done a great job for them. And it's cheap, it's fast, and it works. And so that would be the number one way that I would start out, is going back to your client base and people that you know that have influence that can provide you new leads that'll turn into new customers.
See, I would not have thought of that, and that's why I have you on the show, and that's why I love you being my friend and learning so much from you, because that's the hardest thing, and I guess I'll ask that question. You do such a good job for your customers. You do a great service. They want to tell everyone about you, but yet they're afraid to go out there and talk to people about you. How do you kind of say, so do you know of people who might be interested in benefiting from what you are able to benefit from? In your business with health and wellness, if they've lost weight, they don't even have to tell people. They walk around and say, oh my gosh, what just happened to you? But for my business, a lot of times people aren't really tooting that horn. They're really not giving credit to the tutor or the advocate. A lot of times, well, I'm seeing an advocacy. This is big. The referrals are coming more. In tutoring, Johnny can do math now. They don't really want to tell people that they went through a tutor. So how do we kind of are able to generate those leads? And that's a great idea that you talked about before, how we need to continue to do this over and over again. We have to go after new business all the time. We can't be idle, but I'm just talking about when you just are kind of fearful of not having any business. So how do you do that, GJ? Tell me.
Well, I think having that fear is a good thing, because it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you sharp, and it helps eliminate what I call the comfort zone. And when someone is operating in the comfort zone, then a lot of times they're failing to search for new business or grow their business. And in today's climate, regardless of what your business is, you've got to be on your toes, and you've got to be looking for the next customer and the next referral. And the number one thing to do is obviously ask. And one of the things that I learned is a lot of times people are unwilling to participate in my business. However, I always ask them to at least be a customer or refer someone that they know who would like to be healthy, like to lose weight, like to have more fun, like to make more money. In your case, one of the things that comes to mind, because you're tutoring people, is that even though you're coming to the end of the school year, a lot of times people forget, they're losing sight of, okay, I'm not in school, my kid's not in school, there's really nothing you need to focus on. And I'm going to go back to a dialogue that you had with me, and I'm also going to give you a referral. And so this is going to pay off for you already. So even though Google Voice isn't paying you, I'm going to give you a great referral that will pay you, is that you were saying to me about my daughter, who's 7 years old, and, we want her to improve in her reading skills. Well, right now I see is a perfect time to help her improve it because she has no other homework, no other lessons. What better time than right now to focus on her increasing her ability in reading? And, like you were saying, you could help her go from point A to point B to point C, in a relatively short period. And by the end of the summer, she's reading at a much, she's going to be going into second grade, and she can be reading at a higher level second grade, aptitude just from your tutoring. So I was thinking, why not just have you tutor her, through the summer. And I would say a lot of your clients, you can go back and do the same thing because you know where they're at, you know where they're strong, you know where they're weak in.
Exactly.
And I'd go back to them and say, hey, here's something that I'm offering. And also, you might offer a discounted rate for a summer tutoring or something like that. It gives them an incentive. Or they get X hours free for them giving you a referral that turns into a client.
Exactly. Great ideas, and I think I'm interested in this referral thing you're talking about, GJ, with your daughter. But one thing I've noticed, like I said, I'm talking like the slow times, especially. But summer is my busiest time. I'm probably one of the only tutoring companies that would say it's our busiest time. So we're going to have slow time till I come back from vacation from Hilton Head, South Carolina. So we're going to be doing 2 beach lifestyle recordings a week for 2 weeks. GJ's going to see what 2 hours of radio is like. And like craziness, I already interviewed Pat Cooper today, and for people that he's like Howard Stern's arch nemesis. And I had him on the show. He wrote a book called How Dare You Say, How Dare Me. But he was really an interesting guy. But I just keep going. But you're right, I'm busy as can be. But the smart thing I think that I need to do is look at the ones that are going to have summer tutoring that I use all year round. They don't take off. How many of them do you think would benefit from summer tutoring, and see if there are any people that are looking for summer tutors? I think that also, you're right, the discounted rate, bringing referrals in, and I have an education networking group as well. But I think it's the fear factor. I think that that's ultimately the thing, GJ. This is all new to me. Next year I could be sitting here talking to you about like, oh, you know what? I know exactly what I'm going to do. But we all know the slow period of time, it's a nerve-wracking thing in a lot of ways. But that's a great idea what you talked about, going to those families and seeing who's interested. But it's sometimes a hard thing to talk to people and sell them. And I look at my business a lot of times, I just get referrals left and right, and I don't really sell people except when I get them online to talk to them. So how would you do it in a very calm way, in a way that's not seems like it's a salesman way? Explain that to me.
Well, the one thing that I would say, and those are great points, and I'm gonna, there's a couple of points you bring up. One is, how do you eliminate, the salesmanship side of things? Well, one thing that I'll say, if you're in business for yourself, or you're the main guy of your business, just remember the buck stops with you. So you are always having some type of salesmanship for you or your company, and whether it's your service or whatever. So you're representing your brand. And so when you start thinking about you're representing your brand, it starts to eliminate the salesmanship. Because when I see people who are focused on not being salesmen, then they start becoming salesmen. And so I would say, first of all, be yourself, be authentic, and represent your brand. And by changing that mindset into just being a brand and representing your brand, and right now you are the brand. And I remember when I realized, and I saw an interview with Martha Stewart, and no, I don't watch all of her stuff, I did see an interview that was done by Oprah Winfrey with Martha Stewart. And she asked her some pointed questions about, when did you start to see your business grow? When did you start to see it really take off? And what do you see that was the catalyst? She goes, when I made the shift and realized I am the brand. Right. And what I produce or whatever services I provide or products I provide, I'm the representative of that brand, which happens to be me. And so I would say, look at yourself as the brand, and that will change your mindset. The other thing is quit selling and start sharing. And I do a training on this because it's back to sharing. All you're the one who's sharing. Just like when you had a very informal conversation with me about, hey, here's what I can do to help your daughter. I'm like, wow, well, that's good information, and you were just sharing that. And I never once felt like you're trying to solicit me.
No, not at all.
I feel like you're saying, here's a solution to what the challenge is that I was sharing with you. And you candidly just said, well, here's what I'd recommend. So you're providing a recommendation, you're providing sharing of information, and in this case, it happens to be you and your business that's going to be able to provide that solution. And so when you start thinking about it in those terms, it removes some of the stumbling blocks that I see, and it removes the fear. The other thing that I would say is that, and how we came together is that we developed an authentic relationship, and we were candid with one another about here's where we want to go and here's what we want to do. We never once tried to sell each other, well, here's what I can do for you, G, and here's what I can do for you, Neil. It was like, hey, here's what we want to do and here's where we want to go. And it's back to simply sharing and being authentic. And I know you are, and I've got to know you very well, is that you're being honest and you're providing the best solutions that you know how to do. And people that come in contact with you see that. And then the other thing that I'd say in your case, if they say no, then just sort of tower over them, and you can scare them into choosing action.
Well, and I think the key point, GJ, is right. I am the brand, and a lot of times going to tell my families about specific things. And who do you know out there, GJ, that has an education talk show that's interviewing people that are going to be New York Times best-selling authors? What tutor do you know? And that's where you go to the tutoring thing. But I'm a consultant as well, an educational consultant that really can make changes in people's lives. And I know I can. You tell me any family, anywhere out there, and this is for your listening audience especially, GJ, giving me that endorsement, that if you really think that hiring a tutor that comes physically to the house is going to be better than an expert like myself, I'm sorry to say this, GJ, that's not true. I am one, my book will be coming out in September, I am one that basically flat out can tutor someone via Skype, can tutor someone via the phone, can tutor someone via text messaging. Let me give you a story, and then I guess we'll have to finish it up. I am checking someone's homework, not doing it for them, and doing it as a consulting fee where they'll text me the homework, I'll look it over, I'll say the ones we got wrong, and then we'll go on Skype. I mean, just imagine, you don't have to be in Pittsburgh to utilize my services. You could be anywhere. You could be in Jamaica. And that's the fact of the matter, that I'm international, and I can help anyone. Just give me a call at 412-523-0289. And you know what, GJ, I never even mentioned my website ever on the show, and that's because I owe respect to you that this is your show, and I'm here to bring that great information and help families. And I just throw my education minute out there, but nothing else. But I appreciate the time, GJ, to kind of give me some advice and get me motivated. Because, again, I've been so busy, but I get nervous any day when I know my calendar's not going to be filled up. And that's the key. And it's so great to have so many residual incomes thanks to the radio. The radio opens up so many doors. Another thing I want to tell your listeners next week is we have this huge opportunity with an autism grant with robots that I'm teaming up with someone in Japan. So I have some interesting projects on the way that could keep me really busy in the fall. But let's keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. And that's the key. Someone's looking to develop an app for me. If you would have my schedule, I'm as busy as you be, GJ. And again, thinking about also people getting a healthy lifestyle, and it's great working with you. So when we get back, we're going to talk some more great beach lifestyle talk with GJ Reynolds, the host, and myself, Neil Haley. You'll listen to the Beach Lifestyle Show. We'll be back in just a moment. Total Tutor here for the Total Education Minute. Remember, go to my website, totaltutor.org, for more information. Really interesting study that came out about people who go on to more higher education live longer. Well, I like that because I think education is the most powerful, important thing in your life. You could be a gymnast. You could be a football player. You could be this great gifted athlete. But at one point in time, you're going to break down. But if you keep that intellectual ability to go and keep learning new things, you're going to be happier in life, be able to do more, and feel good about yourself. That's the key. But I guess the study always talks about making right decisions, living the right economy, like Jason the Public School Guy. But I like the idea, intellectual ability, education is the most important thing. Remember, go to my website, totaltutor.org, for more information. Do you believe the study's true? I believe it's true. Email me, nhaley, totaltutor.org, for more information. Great idea. We're back to the Beach Lifestyle Show. I'm the co-host of the show, Neil Haley. I'm with my host, GJ Reynolds, in Jamaica. And now, I tell you, we're honored to have on the program somebody I met at the National Publicity Summit. We're going to have a lot of those conversations, GJ, when I go through the 60 or the 52 people that I've booked for interviews, but not for your show yet, but I look forward to it. This guy has impressed me. He's impressed me so much. He is an entrepreneur that's going to help me make money. And that's the key. And now I can talk about that on the education show. It's more about his book, but I want to welcome the program Souldancer. Soul, thanks for calling.
Hey, aloha. Thanks for sharing your airwave time. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. The Beach Lifestyle Show. So the first question is, why did you decide to live the beach lifestyle? And I think I already told you what the beach lifestyle is, basically becoming an entrepreneur. Why did you do that?
Well, I have this silly notion that it's time we wake up to the reality that we're here to do more than punch a clock and help other people's dreams come true. We need to have our dreams come true, too.
That's key. That's definitely a key, and have our dreams come true too. So when did you make that decision? I always interview every entrepreneur that comes on. When did you finally make that decision that you weren't going to work for someone else, you're going to work for yourself?
Oh, it's a cool question, Neil. Back in the beginning of 1990, I was temping, and one of my jobs as a temp was I was supposed to open up the mail and get it distributed to all the places that I needed to go to. And one of the pieces of mail that I opened up was the very bill that my temp agency was sending to this company. And I looked at the bill and I thought, what? No way! I saw what they were charging for me. I knew what I was getting paid per hour. And so I went to the person who signed off on my time card, for lack of better words. I said, hey, how long do you think you're going to need me? And they're like, well, we're probably going to hire you. And it's like, oh, well, let me make you this proposal. I want to remain a consultant. I'll charge you half. Will you sign a 6-month contract for half the rate? And we'll terminate the relationship with this temp firm because I have no exclusive agreement with them. And they're like, sure. So on Friday, I gave my temp company notice I'm quitting. On Monday, I went back to my same job and started being a consultant.
That's an interesting story. And then ever since, you've come up with these fantastic ideas. So, and I always tell GJ this, that every story is something where they finally took that leap of faith to say, you know what, I want to work for myself. I'm tired of working for somebody else and then the company or the organization reaping the rewards. Isn't that true, GJ?
Exactly. And, reaping the rewards for somebody else, why not represent them, get them for yourself? And Soul definitely realized that. And so I applaud you for recognizing that for yourself. And I know our listeners, what you're touching on is exactly what our listeners are looking for. And one of the questions is, and I've been on your website, and the Souldancer is your actual legal name, correct?
Well, I was born with it, so I tell people you're welcome to call me anything you'd like, just not late for dinner. Thanks.
Well, I love it, and so what I love about that is that your parents gave you a soulful name right from the get-go, And obviously you're focused on helping other people, wake up, like you said, and go after their dreams. So what would be 3 key points that you would share with our listeners that to help them choose action for themselves to start going after their dreams?
Oh, that's a yummy question. Where do I begin? Let's see. Oftentimes, and I'm almost positive you've heard this before. Now, for those listening, if you've heard this before, maybe you'll hear it and use it this time versus just hear it. The first thing I have to express from firsthand experience is trust the fact that whatever you consider to be the divine essence of your life really does want you to succeed, not fail. We are set up to succeed, not fail. I could not have met Neil, and I could not have met you if I weren't set up to succeed. So trust you are to succeed. If you're sitting there thinking, everything's wrong, I'm a victim, I don't have enough this, that, or the other, that's one way you can think. And if that's working for you, fantastic, keep on going. But if it's not working for you, switch it upside down and recognize that when you take that leap of faith, it may not all come to you instantaneously, it might, but persistence is the second one, persistence. Both of you guys, if you weren't persistent in what you're doing, would you be at where you're at right now?
No.
Not at all.
Definitely not. Soul, I agree. I think I would not be where I'm at, and persistence is a very key point. In our first segment, GJ and I touched upon that, especially when we're talking about slow times for my business for a little bit till summer comes. And always concerned if there's going to be a slow time, what to go out and do. And he provided such great suggestions for me that I'm ready to roll, even though this week's going to be swamped. IUP meetings, consulting during the day, tutoring at night. But I'm already anticipating that slow time in 2 weeks, and I'm always looking at those specific things. So basically, once you did this, you basically saw that you really could change people's lives. And we've really talked about this constantly on our show, GJ and I, about a lot of entrepreneurs that I bring on the show and GJ brings on the show. They change people's lives. They're not ripping people off. They're not going ahead, and I guess I'm going to mention just a specific thing, like you watch some of these reality television shows like Real Housewives of New Jersey, and you have the husbands that are going ahead and borrowing so much money, and they truly don't have that wealth, and owing tons of people money, and they're really not changing people's lives. But the people we bring on this show change people's lives. So how have you changed people's lives since you've been an entrepreneur?
Well, the walk your talk is key. What's interesting is I've had the honor and privilege of meeting some phenomenal people who have millions of followers. And when we have that private alone time, that sacred space time, and I look into their eyes and I say, how soon are you going to really walk your talk? You're a dynamic speaker. You are changing people's lives through your words, but like Twinkies, they need more words. They're not getting the full value of what you have to offer because, frankly, I don't see you walking your talk.
Right.
And if they find out you're not walking your talk, then what's going to happen to them? The next time they come across someone who's a dynamic speaker like you, they're going to think, well, I was burned by that guy because they didn't walk their talk, or that woman. Why should I trust them? So walk your talk. That is the key part to do there. And my apologies on this. Let me take this offline. There we go. And so what I mean by walk your talk, recognize what you really can do. I think that's the number one thing that I've gotten myself in trouble with the most is I overextend. Now, I know you two guys don't ever overextend, so...
Oh, we do it, especially when you have that passion. Sometimes you do overextend and you get yourself caught up in a lot of different things, and that's what every entrepreneur sometimes makes that mistake.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. As an entrepreneur, if you guys both knew you were going to be working as much as you're working now when you thought about becoming an entrepreneur, would you have still taken that step to become an entrepreneur?
See,
most definitely. Most definitely.
I think that'd be a little different for me, Soul, but I don't know. I think if you told me I was going to love what I do, but if you said you're going to work 16-hour days, 6 days or 5 days a week, and maybe a 8-hour day on Saturday, and maybe 2 hours on the Sunday, I don't know. I don't know what I would say. But if you tell me that I wouldn't have the stress, my blood pressure would be down, I would be happy about getting up each morning and not having to work for somebody else, I would say yes. So GJ says most definitely. I don't know if you would have told me you're going to be working this much, Neil, if I'm going to like it. But after seeing specifically what my life feels like, I do. And I will.
Well, I would like to chime in here. You brought up a good point. Would someone work those amount of hours? And for me, definitely so, because I was working a lot of hours and building somebody else's dreams, as we touched on early in the show. And I realized if I just moved those hours over to myself and applied the same work ethic of what I was doing in my job, then I felt I had a pretty good shot of being successful. And the other component that I have learned for myself is that I don't look at what I do as work. I look at what I do as transforming my personal life and helping transform other people's lives as well. And when I do that, it's a lifestyle for me. And I have 24 hours a day, and I embrace each 24 hours. There are some things I prefer to do over others, and so it's a mindset change that I've adapted for myself. And I know that's what you're looking at, and asking your question, when are you going to walk your talk? And I know when you're passionate about what you're doing and it starts to become part of your life, then I see that's where someone starts to make that transition.
Oh, DJ, you're reading my mind. You just tipped my hand. I don't work. I love what I do.
Right.
And that's why I tell people, we have to stop. And one of the things that I find myself very, very sick about is the amount of wisdom that's dying every day. And what I mean by that is people get to a certain spot in their life where they think they're done. It's time to retire now. It's time to sit in front of this box and click away and just count down the days, months, years before they die. And the wisdom that they have inside, every single person listening, you have wisdom. You have wisdom. Don't tell me you don't have wisdom to share to other people. You do. And Neil helping to share that, you guys helping other people to share that just by being who you are. That's the key part. The key part, never give up on the fact that you have something to share with someone who is going to walk the path that you've already walked. Did that make any sense?
Yes, it definitely makes sense. So I told you, Soul really speaks to us, and we could be educated. He is an educator beyond belief, just like you're an educator and I'm an educator in entrepreneurship, because ultimately we don't feel like it's a job. And I always say work. I feel like anything, I have belief in the sanctity of work in a holy way, that I look at work as not a drudgery. But if you're talking about the people working for a weekend, I'd much rather, and I remember listening to some entrepreneur do this, I'd much rather edit my radio show and send it out to all these different countries than go ahead and golf, okay, unless it was an opportunity for business. I would rather spend time with my family in a way than go out and play tennis. So my extracurricular activity in more ways, I'll go work out and stuff, is to really, my business feels like something, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, a lot. So did you, right when you became a consultant, did you say, wow, now I don't have to answer to anybody, and I truly have an opportunity to help so many people?
You know what was really, really wild is about 10 years after the fact, I made this deal with myself that when I became a consultant, every new contract I would double my fee, double it. And I kept doubling it and kept getting it. And I kept doubling it, and I kept getting it. And I was changing contracts about every 3 to 4 months. And they kept hiring me back at double the fee. And 10 years later, I happened to walk up to and visit a dear friend who was like a senior vice president. I said, you don't understand. When I was billing out at $912 an hour and you were happy to pay it, You blew my mind. And he said, Soul, we paid it because, first off, you had zero idea that we were still vastly underbilling yourself. We got so much value out of what you gave us that even though we knew you were going to double your rate again, we didn't care because we had other consultants who gave us a fraction of what you gave us, and they billed us 3 to 4 times more. Blew my mind.
And that's
good. So one of the things that I'm hearing is that you actually asked for it. So you asked for it, and then it started, and you visualized it, and it started to happen. And it actually happened in a bigger way than what you had actually thought about or, envisioned originally, correct?
Bingo.
And so the lesson to learn for our listeners is dream big, and even if you get exactly what you want, you've gotten something big, and in most cases you exceed what you were looking for, which is a great thing.
Which follows the divine plan. Think about this. Right now, I cannot breathe in all the air that our planet produces for us. It's impossible. It's producing, thankfully, more air than collectively we all breathe in. I look at nature as being the most generous source, the most generous divine source of inspiration to give. I give knowing that I cannot possibly receive all that it is capable of me receiving. I have to open myself up more and more and more to receive. If I don't open up to receive, it's waiting for me to open up to receive. So asking for and receiving it. How many people do you guys know when you give them a compliment, you know it's bounced right out?
Yeah,
oh, many times.
Many, yeah. A lot.
A simple compliment.
Well, a lot of people are they don't feel worthy of the compliment, or they want to pass it to someone else because they feel someone else is more worthy. And I know that's some of the things that you touch upon and teach how to overcome that.
Yeah, it's funny. I often use the concept of a PIN code. You know, everybody has to have a PIN code when they go up to something. A password, a PIN code. We seem to have a plethora of passwords and PIN codes these days. And I think we're wired backwards when it comes to compliments and criticisms. We seem to need all sorts of PIN codes for compliments. We need to have the right attitude. We need to know the person. They need to know us. There's all these filters that a compliment has to go through for us to really let it in. Conversely, when there's a criticism by an absolutely complete stranger, zip, right in, reaction.
Right, exactly.
That's true.
So you're
Go ahead.
So you're so right. I just had to say that.
So we need to reverse that. We need to absolutely, for those listening in, I am going to ask you to flip it upside down. When a criticism comes in, think about one of the most interesting things. You both have heard of that great book, The 4 Agreements, yeah?
Yes.
No. But go ahead. Continue.
Oh, Neil. Oh, my God, I'm sending you a copy. No, The 4 Agreements, one of the agreements is never take it personal. It's never about you, ever, period, end of story. And so when a criticism comes in, I treat it as a sacred moment that this person is now revealing a very intimate fact about themselves, not about me.
Okay. And I understand what you're talking about. So now your big challenge right now is this book of yours, Pay Me What I'm Worth. Kind of explain that, and like we only have a couple more minutes left, but kind of about that, and especially how you can get free stuff. 2 things our audience likes: some book that's going to really help us to become a better entrepreneur, and then secondly, how we can get free stuff. So tell us the 2 things.
Well, I'm going to combine them both. Right now, I'm working my best to get a book in every library. So you get a book and donate it to a library. I will give you, because you're listening to, you got these great show, I'll give you 3 coupons. 3 coupons to attend my first class for free. So you can invite yourself and 2 other people to take the class with you at no charge. Normally you'd pay $149 for this. So I'm going to teach you what your material world, how it's helping you and how it's hurting you from getting paid what you're worth in this class. And all you got to do is go out and visit Neil's site.
All right, well, fantastic. Thanks again for calling the program, Soul. And again, it'll all be up on the link and all that stuff, and I appreciate you calling, and we'll definitely be in touch, okay, Soul?
Hey, thanks, guys.
Oh, one more thing. One more, Soul. What's your 90-day challenge?
90-day challenge is to shift from lack thinking to abundance thinking. There's always too much. If you are going to shift to that, everything else is pretty much painless.
Okay. Quick and painless. Thanks again for calling, Soul. We'll be in touch, all right?
Thanks again.
All right, guys. All right, take care. All right, that was Souldancer. You're listening to the Beach Lifestyle Show with host G.J. Reynolds and myself, Neil Haley, and we'll be back in just a moment.
The Body by Vi 90-Day Challenge is powered by a line of leading wellness products from Visalis Sciences and is the perfect way to start a lasting transformation for any body and any body. All you have to do is select one of 4 challenge kits designed for your personal goal, and it'll be delivered right to your door. If your goal is good nutrition, the Balance Kit is for you. If you're looking to shape up and lose weight faster, try the Shape Kit. Our Core Kit is for you if you have an active lifestyle. For your ultimate transformation, choose the Transformation Kit, the #1 kit used by Body by Vi Challenge champions.
A lot of times people think that the 90-day challenge is a weight loss challenge, and that's simply because of how many people are using it to lose weight. However, it is not. It's a 90-day health transformation.
It's transforming people's lives, from every aspect. You're getting a chance to change your physical appearance if you want to, or maybe just the condition of your health.
I wanted to look the best I've ever looked in my life at 40, and I did. We took our after pictures, and I've never looked like that ever.
This is a product that absolutely works. It tastes great.
It's amazing how people's lives totally change from something as small and as simple as deciding to take a challenge.
The Body by Vi 90-Day Challenge. Lose weight, get healthier, and even save time and money. Think about it. You save money by replacing your meals with a healthy, delicious shake instead of eating out. And mixing up a shake takes no time at all.
We're back to the Beach Lifestyle Show with co-host myself, Neil Haley, with my host, G.J. Reynolds. And so far, what'd you think of Souldancer? He was quite interesting, wasn't he?
Well, he's right on, and he's very empowering, and, he's perfect for the Beach Lifestyle community because he's all focused about helping transform people's lives, and, he's walking the walk.
Oh,
the question that he brought up, when are you going to walk your talk? That was a great point.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that you guys are somehow related in some world because you both have that entrepreneurial spirit, and I learned so much when I talked to both of you. But I understand you have another great guest, and now this is the whole reason you're in Jamaica, and you've been in Jamaica for a lot longer than you thought. But the reason is because of this woman. Isn't that correct, GJ? So go ahead and introduce her for me, please.
Well, that's correct. So our next guest is she's a dynamic businesswoman. She's been an entrepreneur for 30 years, and she's actually been supporting herself and or her family since the age of 14. And she used to go door to door selling items to bring in money for her family as a kid. And so she learned the entrepreneurial spirit and has been walking the walk ever since. And she has several high-end spas here in Jamaica. And I met her almost 5 years ago, and she was interested, and I met her through her sister, and who was living in the States. And she said, my sister would be very interested and very good, and she's very sharp at helping people, feel better, look better, transform their life through her spas, and I believe she'd be perfect for the 90-day challenge. And so we got introduced, and she got on a plane and flew to San Jose, and we met, and from that point on, she's been dynamic. She created the market in Jamaica. She's been one of the top money earners. She's also a Hall of Famer for customer and promoter acquisitions, and she's one of the most dynamic women I've ever been around and worked with. And so welcome to the show, Gaudia Chevannes Aquart. Welcome to the show, Gaudia.
Thank you so much, DJ. It certainly is my pleasure to be on this program with you guys this morning.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Well, you're welcome, and I want to congratulate you, too, for being our first guest from another country.
Yes.
Come on.
And hopefully that's going to be more and more of that. And Gaudia, it's an honor for you to be on the program, especially, again, what you've been able to accomplish in your life. But what made you want to live the beach lifestyle, which is the question we ask every one of our guests that are entrepreneurs. When did you decide you want to be an entrepreneur? I think your story is a little different than a lot of our other guests.
Okay. I decided, well, out of necessity, I had to become the entrepreneur. I needed to support my family, like DJ alluded to, from age 14. I came home from school, and I was at school here in Jamaica, attending one of our prestigious all-girls schools, grammar schools for girls here in Kingston. And I got home from school one evening, and my mom was devastated. She was in tears. And they had broken into her place of business and stole everything. And she felt she was a single parent, and she felt she had no option. And all my siblings were in tears, and everybody was crying. And in that moment, I became the entrepreneur. I became the person that took charge of that family.
Yes.
And I have been that person in one way or another for my family ever since that moment. So entrepreneurism chose me rather than I choosing it.
And it was out of necessity to take care of your family. And I think that's the other key component a lot of times. A lot of people listening that want to be entrepreneurs are just not making enough money in their regular job right now. Or they are laid off, or they think that the economy's completely destroyed them. But I'll tell you one thing. If you have the right product, Gaudia, if you have the right product, the right message, it doesn't matter what economy you're in, you'll be able to be successful.
That's right. And the right reason why, Neil. Right. I think that's the crunch of it. You have to have the right reason why. That is what is going to keep you motivated in spite of the economy, in spite of what your current reality is. It is your reason why you need to rise above.
Yes.
That's what keeps you on track and motivated all the time.
Exactly. That's so key. And GJ, now tell me, when you met this woman, how impressed were you, especially when she told you her story?
Well, she's a very humble individual, and she never even shared that story with me until this trip here. So it took 5 years for her to even share that story with me. And however, she did share with me, some of the ups and downs that she'd experienced as an entrepreneur with her salons over the last 25 years that prior to me meeting her. And the thing that struck me most was that she carried herself very professionally, is very articulate, and the one thing that I've learned to see is that she's very astute. She's very coachable. She's a great student, and she's committed to running the play, as we would say, and truly wanting to empower others to be successful, and helping them find their way, as she just touched upon. And for somebody to open up a country, I mean, we would have never come to Jamaica in the time frame that we came to Jamaica had Gaudia, without her doing what she did to open up the country. And we're having great success here. We're having tremendous success in transforming people's lives. And I see that we can actually transcend a whole nation. And it's all because, Gaudia's tenacity and her big reason why. And she wants to help 1 million Jamaicans be healthy worldwide.
Wow. And that's just you alone. So you're pretty much the CEO of Jamaica and ViSalus, which is amazing. Could you imagine that you could say that someday, Gaudia? That I'm sure some of your other entrepreneurial ventures are not as big as this. So did you imagine that in 5 years after meeting GJ, you'd be at where you're at today?
Absolutely not, because it's always one person at a time. then it's the impact of the stories. It's the accumulation of those stories. It's a mother sharing with you the impact of her new ViSalus income. It is that elderly parent whose health has been transformed because of what we do. It's the stories as they come back that they just keep enlarging that vision, and you keep realizing that there's always more that you can do. So in the beginning, in the early days, I had no vision of transforming lives. I just wanted to earn enough to pay for my product so I could get my product for free. That's where this all started for me. And then as the stories came in and you recognize that you're actually impacting people's lives in a meaningful way, either through their health or through their finances or both.
Wow.
And it just keeps you going.
Oh, absolutely, Gaudia. And I think, GJ, that's the key component, that once people see that it's not just making money, it's helping others and changing people's lives, which we've talked about numerous times on the show. And I think that what I kind of want to ask Gaudia, before you were with ViSalus, what were you doing? Because you were an entrepreneur in some ways, but was it something that just wasn't the product to get you to where you wanted to be, would you say? Or were you kind of like just bouncing around different entrepreneurial ideas?
No, I was pretty focused on what I was doing, and I had a niche market, and my focus was helping, in particular, women feeling better about themselves from a more cosmetic standpoint, from helping them to handle and deal with their stress levels, to looking and feeling more beautiful. That's where my career started.
Are you still involved in that?
And so ViSalus became a perfect fit for me.
Yes.
Because now I could transform somebody's life from inside out, and not just in a cosmetic way.
Yes. And again, that's so important with health and situations. No, Gaudia, the question I was asking, are you still involved with that, or are you just straight with ViSalus now?
I'm more hands-off where that is concerned right now. My niece, the second generation, is about to take that to perhaps places that I can't even dream of right now. So my main focus right now is ViSalus.
Okay. And again, we're talking to Gaudia, and Gaudia is coming up with some learning her story and her success. And GJ, now I'm sure you are shocked also by the success of Gaudia, because Jamaica, I'm sure that Ryan Blair and the whole company was not thinking of Jamaica at all in their process. So you were thinking out of the box, GJ, going and connecting with Gaudia to get things started in Jamaica.
Well, in some ways I was thinking out of the box. However, I didn't really have the data of what I have now, and now it's one of those things, as we talked in the previous segment, having that faith and choosing and acting on that faith. And I just felt, in a faithful standpoint and a soulful standpoint, that here's a good opportunity. However, I've never understood till recently how important that was, and how important that choice was to help facilitate what I was able to help and open up a whole country. And although Gaudia's had some great success, the other thing that's happened, and Ryan Blair shares that in his book in Chapter 1, and obviously you've interviewed Ryan, and he candidly talked about what happened in Chapter 1, where the company was in December of 2009. Well, one of the things I learned, when the U.S. economy is down, the Jamaican economy is like 10 times hit harder. And so what happened is that the whole Jamaican market actually dried up at one point to just we just had a handful of people still able to use the product and afford the product. And the thing that is really the testament to Gaudia, and this is something that can be learned by every entrepreneur who listens to this show, is that stay the course. She stayed the course. And even though she was at the brink of defeat and almost a whole country failing, she was able to rise above that and stay the course And now we're going to do more volume, more business, impact more lives, and impact more people worldwide because one lady stayed the course. And so the message there for every entrepreneur is stay the course. You know, sometimes it's darkest before dawn, and the sun ends up rising, and that's what we're experiencing right now. And so to see the success that we're having, I got goosebumps right now as I see what's happening. I know her story, and we don't have time to go into the depths of some of the hurts and the pains that I know she's witnessed firsthand as an entrepreneur. And so which is another great segment we can have her back on another show, is that to see someone stay that course and to see where we're going is that, you know, that's what it's all about. And so now, see where we were 5 years ago to seeing now, and really not understanding what was going on then, now I start to see some of the dots connected. And I'm as excited as I've ever been. And obviously, as much time as I'm spending down here in Jamaica, y'all may have to come down here because this is where I may be living.
And if I may just add to that, G, get around the right people. I met a great coach who said to me, get around the right people and never, never give up.
And the question I have to ask Gaudia before we're almost running out of time is, when you were hitting rock bottom with ViSalus in your entrepreneurship and seeing the economy crash and things looking very dim, how did you kind of say, I am going to keep persevering? Because that's the hardest thing. Again, I am an entrepreneur. My wife is a school teacher, and I look at it a lot of times where you see these pitfalls, and a lot of times you can kind of get down on yourself. But you kept persevering. How did you do that?
With ViSalus, Neil, it's in the darkest moment, it was my belief in our product, my belief in my company that kept me going. My belief in the company, in the integrity, in the authenticity of who and what ViSalus is, in the result, in the efficacy of our product, the results that they get. It was the belief that kept me going. I knew that I am committed 100% to getting these products in as many bodies as possible. And it was the belief in that product and in the company that kept me going in the deepest, darkest moment. With the belief in our business model, in the simplicity of our business model.
And that's a testament, because a lot of people give up. And a lot of times I have people that work for me in either a part-time role or certain things, and they give up very quickly. But I think when somebody knows that they have an opportunity to make a change and that they really can change their life and other people's lives, that is such a key component. So I have a question for you. What is your 90-day challenge now, Gaudia? What is your current 90-day challenge? Because that's the question we ask all of our guests, and you know the 90-day challenge. What is your current 90-day challenge?
My health goal, my 90-day health goal is to lose 15 pounds of weight and to get myself back on track in terms of my health. And Neil, I don't know if I can share with you what my business 90-day goal is.
Okay, well, you know what, I think everyone listening that are entrepreneurs are saying, what is Gaudia doing? We need to consult with her and find out what is her secrets. That's smart. Again, I think that shows a smart entrepreneur. I'm not going to tell my cards to people as an entrepreneur as well. So I just wish you all the luck in the world. And GJ, tremendous woman Gaudia is. And what would you add to kind of summarize what she has done for you, especially to see the growth of ViSalus in Jamaica? Like in a minute, G.
Well, there's so many, and she's become, and obviously this is a recurring thing because all the shows that I've had on here have all become dear friends. But one thing I'll say with Gaudia is she's family, and we have a kindred spirit, and the number one thing that I would say is to sheer perseverance and focus to stay the course is one of the defining character traits of her. And then I'm going to ask one question. I want to hear what the business goal is, because I know our listeners are wanting to know.
Well, I've broken my 90-day goal down into 2 segments, 2 45-day segments. So my first 45-day segment, and there's the thing about accountability once these words leave my lips, my first 45 days, I will help 3 people to get to the position of ambassador in Visalis. And in the next 45 days, I will walk the stage as a 5-star ambassador.
Wow. Oh, and I know this from going to Kansas City, and I wonder, Gaudia, maybe you're already setting up for one of the events, one of the Visalis events to be in Jamaica. I'm sure GJ's already in that process, and then I'll say, gee, you got to fly me out, man.
You got it. When she likes the standard 5-star, then we'll come in and we'll do a full-fledged radio show and document the whole thing.
Exactly. And just to let you know, I do have friends in Jamaica. I didn't tell you that, GJ. I'll have to talk to you about it. 2 radio guys. Or one's a reggae guy that's called reggae2reggae.com. I don't know if you know of that organization. I know Jamaica's a pretty large area, and then also somebody else that had a local reggae show as well. So I connected them through the radio business, so I'll have to kind of share. I wasn't thinking, my mind, maybe they would be interested, because again, they are struggling financially and are always looking for opportunities, and this business is something really that can help people that truly are looking for it. So Gaudia, where can we find more information on you, learn more about you and what you're doing in Jamaica?
My website is jam2amillion.com. So if you go to jam2amillion.com, you will be able to connect with me directly.
I'm gonna make a correction. It's actually .net. .net.
.net. I'm sorry. Jam2amillion. That's JAM2amillion.net.
All right, well, thanks a lot for calling the program, Gaudia, and we're definitely going to have you back on, and I guess I'd really like to bring you on my educational show to talk about the education system in Jamaica, because, again, the Total Tutor needs to be in Jamaica, and we need to open up Total Tutor in Jamaica, or at least get people Skyping or providing great education services, so we'll have to connect at one point in time and have a conference call in that way, but I appreciate you calling, Gaudia, and we'll definitely be in touch, all right?
Thank you so much for having me, Neil.
Right.
Thanks, DJ.
All right, take care. And G, again, another awesome show. And guess what? Recording 2 back-to-back shows the next 2 weeks before I head to Hilton Head, South Carolina. It just seems like it was a year ago we were talking, right, G? You came on my show.
Yeah, man.
And I was in Hilton Head where you were in Nebraska. And you were jealous of me. So, hey, I guess... Exactly. So, I can't wait to be on the beach and live the beach lifestyle for 2 weeks. And it'll be a much-needed break. But I appreciate you calling again, G. And be ready. I'll line up some great guests. You start getting on those phones. 4 shows in 2 weeks. And so we got everything on the roll, ready to roll. And continuing, we don't quit. We just keep going on the radio. And the beach lifestyle is great. And I appreciate you calling, G. Okay?
Thanks a lot, Neil.
All right, good night. All right, that was G.J. Reynolds. I appreciate everyone listening to the Beach Lifestyle Show. We'll talk next week. Good day.